and 2 pages of dialogue.
Interesting.
The little throwaway lines are very hard.
You want to check and see because it's real clean and furry
Yeah.
today. I'm very furry.
We're doing 3 little topics here I've got to go into beside Christmas. One's about the W.O. Smith thing real quick, and then Ladies Home Journal did a photo shoot with you.
Yeah. What do you want me to say about the W.O. Smith thing?
I'm just going to mention, I'll tell you where I'm going with that. I know you're going to
Okay.
be down there. It's just giving kids, tips to children that want to try and how hard it is to learn guitar and don't get frustrated. Just a little, I
hear
know
you.
where I'm going to
Okay.
take you.
Okay,
on that,
gotcha.
so it'll be okay.
Kids in community.
Yeah.
And scooting back just about 6 inches.
Mhm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, you did a Ladies Home, we own, our company owns Ladies Home Journal, so we're doing a piece that's going to go out on everywhere with you doing all this kind of stuff. And you ready? Don, you rolling?
we're rolling.
Okay. Photo shoots. Are those something, do you like getting your picture made?
It's much like going to the gynecologist. I mean, seriously, talk about, it's unpleasant for me because the world I live in is music and anything above and beyond that. That's why I don't like doing videos that much, besides the fact that the budget aspect of it. I really am not into that as much anymore. I think as you get older, well, for me, I just don't rely on that as much anymore. I remember a time in my 20s and 30s when it was all about, hair and makeup, and it still is when I have to, absolutely have to. I do my own for everything, unless it's an album cover or a photo shoot of some kind magazine. I do my own because I was doing it in the car on the way over here. I rely less and less on that than my gift, which is my voice. And I know in a world that we live in today of 8x10s, and I don't know if you'll notice this on the album covers now, I show all the lines. I'm real proud of them. It's been a long road, but no, they're not my favorite because I think you feel very exposed. You feel, I don't know about you standing in front of people, and I have that performer's anxiety of people going, let's see, has she put on a little weight? Is she, do you know what I mean? It's just everything that you're insecure about becomes in the front center.
But you're not trained to be Cindy Crawford, and they got you moving
No.
around and doing all this kind of stuff.
It's
but
weird.
At the end of the day,
It's weird.
It always looks good. It somehow, or at least I think it does, doesn't it?
I want it to show the joy part. I really loved the photographer, and she and I got along famously. And what's the Indian belief that the lens steals the soul? They really believe that, and I think that's why TV makes me so crazy. I literally go through this thing of looking for exits because I feel like that's going to zap me. I feel the same way about a lens. It's so intimate and so close that you have to forget it's there and you have to tap into, okay, why am I here? I think about the reader, reading the story, and try to make that connection.
Don't you have to be in a different place, too, when you do a magazine interview? Because they get it all in your business, don't they?
They can, and I'm setting boundaries. I used to be quite the open book, but I'm learning to say no. That's a complete sentence. And I used to be so forthcoming with information. The fans pretty much know everything at this point. Well, almost everything. And I want to be vulnerable and real, and I want people to know my heart. Because being famous and having success really stereotypes you. And I think I spend so much time trying to show people the human side of being a mother, being a wife, being an artist. And that's why I think I talk so much, because I want people to not think or assume for a minute that I'm above where they live. So I think I try too hard.
But they do get in your business. And we don't do it
Yeah.
in TV. We're not allowed to get in your business. But they hang around for a day or two. Or
They do,
something
and they want
like that,
more.
and- yeah.
And it's just like, it's like that next door neighbor. They'll always want more. They always want to know the deepest detail, something you'll tell them and not someone else. And there's, anytime you do TV, and I won't name names, but a lot of the networks, if you do them second, they're not happy about that. So you have to give the exclusive. So I'm just going to start making up stuff,
But the Judd in you and Wynonna in you makes you want to make them happy. You want to be.
I want people to really love
They want to
me.
be a satisfied customer when
Yeah,
they leave.
I want people to love me to the point where I have therapy about this, because I want people, when I leave the room, to say she's, so nice, because
Yeah.
I really worry that people are going to think if I'm quiet that I have an attitude, because I've gotten that before, and I've had this issue with some of the press people thinking that I have an arrogant attitude. It's the opposite. I have fear, and thinking I'm not good enough. And yet if you don't say something, they'll make up what they don't hear. You know what I mean? So I think I've always felt like I had to explain everything, why I do what I do, and hopefully people will like me. God forbid if they don't.
Let's go back in time to Kentucky. Who taught you how to play guitar? You remember those days when you didn't know what you were doing? I mean, you had a God's gift singing, obviously.
Yeah.
But, this is W.O. Smith question.
Okay.
These kids are learning how to play piano. I think it's horrible to learn your first instrument of guitar because it made me want to quit. My fingers hurt too
Okay.
bad. What do you tell little kids that are out there that want to do it? They know they have a little talent in singing, and they're trying to tackle learning a musical instrument.
That's a great question. I think I really want to speak to the parents first and say, allow your child to do their thing. In other words, I wanted Elijah to play piano. Got him lessons, and he didn't care for it at the time. And I struggled with, well, it's a real good foundational thing. He needs to know. And I didn't push it, and I let him switch to drums. I always say on stage, to thine own self be true. Let your child be who they are, because we live vicariously through our children. We want them to be what we want them to be. Be very careful. If your kid wants guitar and you want piano, let them do guitar. They can always come back around. I tell kids and adults everywhere that it's just like a relationship. You do have to work at it. People think that they're going to be rock stars, especially nowadays. I worked on Nashville Star, and I noticed a lot of the one-hit wonder thing of I'm ready to headline, you know, and here I've spent all these years learning the business. I think people really underestimate the power of also letting kids waste time in their gift. In other words, let them dream, let them play records, and let them get lost in their dream, because this up here is, and this right here has to connect. And so in other words, practicing is important, but allowing kids to dream and have fantasy is equally, if not more. In other words, the emotional intelligence is important.
But I know for a fact that you did not want to get up in the morning to go to Channel 4 when you were sleeping at whatever time y'all had to get up there. So
I wanted the $25.
But there's a certain degree of discipline that is required that may have to come from the parents.
My work ethic is because of my mother. I was not wanting to be a front man. I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be on stage, but I didn't want to do the interviews. I didn't care about talking. It is a full package thing. And I plan on doing a camp someday where I have kids come out to the farm for a week and teach them mind, body, spirit. But for kids, I say there's discipline, there is the work ethic. We call it fake it till you make it. In other words, do the work physically and your heart will follow. And you'll get it. You'll get zapped at some point, but you got to keep walking the walk. And you know what I tell kids today? Show up. Suit up and show up is half the battle, if not more. I think kids want to pick and choose the big stuff. Listen, I still play county fairs. I still play casinos because I know that somebody in that audience has never seen me before. Do you know what I mean? And I could talk for an hour about this. Kids are my heart now. I'm planning on the next part of my career really dedicating a lot of time to them because they are the future. Grace, my daughter, 10 and a half, already is ready to be the next Hannah Montana. Elijah, you know, skateboarder, he wants to play, but when he wants to. Gracie may make a career out of it and support me in my old age like I am my mom, which wouldn't that be a trip?
You can't reinvent Christmas, and I love Christmas music. I was telling Brent my favorite album maybe of all is the Gene Autry Christmas album.
Oh,
that
wow.
may be my #1 favorite album of all time.
It's so corny, I love it.
Because it's so corny, I love it.
It's what we want, or
And,
what I want.
You took on the religious aspect of Christmas, and you took on the pop, and you put them both together. You took on songs that...
What do you mean by pop?
Christmas, the Mel Torme song, the Christmas song,
Okay.
you know, the more traditional, fun kind of Santa Claus and
right,
stuff.
right.
And then you took on Emmanuel and those beautiful
The
church
more worship.
songs that are not even the ones we sing in church. It's the ones that we listen to.
Okay.
Someone perform in church. So
Okay.
you took the whole range. For you, that was your first Christmas album too. I'm sure
Ever.
it is, isn't it? Okay.
Besides Mom and Me in '86, this is my very first solo.
What was on your mind when you said, "Okay, I'll do this," or was it your idea to do it?
That's a really good question. I think Brent and Dawn and I have talked about this very thing for years. And I think where I'm at in my life, I just have gone through a year of real transformation personally. And as a lot of people know in my fan club, I am very autobiographical. You said religious, but for me it's relationship. This album is about my relationship with my Lord, and it's about praise and worship. The fact that this time of year we are so jaded. I've heard more people say, another Christmas record? Like, oh, we have so many already, you know, and I'm really trying to remind myself of the reason for the season. I did it really as a labor of love. I put the kids on it. Of course, as a mom, I thrive in watching them be a part of anything I do. And it was really important to me, for me to mark this time in my life because I'm, you know, really getting into being married and workshops, and that's a lot of work. It takes up a lot of energy and time. So I think this album is just really my heart and what it is I love about Christmas. Every single thing that I grew up loving about Christmas, I wanted to put into this big jar, and that's what this album is. All the sounds I hear, from the bells to the chorus of this beautiful orchestra. Oh my gosh! And we did it with the with the singers at the same time, very old-fashioned. But when you hear the oh come, I mean, it's just like, and like you, when I hear those sounds, I'm transformed, or I go back in time to when we had nothing, and we had a lot of music at Christmas. It was always in the background. So for me, this is a real labor of love.
Was it scary
So-
to take on some of these things? I mean, because, you know,
Yeah.
everybody knows what Christmas is supposed to sound like. It's not like hearing the new Wynonna album.
Right.
Kind of, there is something to
Right.
play it against and judge.
Well,
you don't approach things that
I
way.
knew what I didn't want. I knew I didn't want it to sound like a. I didn't want it so slick that it sounded so produced that you couldn't hear the real joyful, raw part of my voice, which I'm singing at a much higher register. There's that sweet spot in my voice where I really feel like there's that vulnerability and that sweetness, which I need more of. You don't hear the growl as much or the deep, you know, the rock star as much as you hear the stuff that's the sweeter part of my voice, like I
heard
said.
Rosemary Clooney sometimes.
Did you really? Oh, interesting. And I
Which
love
is
jazz.
That's a compliment.
Thank
too,
you.
Believe me, because
Thank
I mean,
you.
she had a very pure voice, and you do have that. Yeah, I didn't think about the growling because that's always you, isn't it? Because you are. A
I put it in
growler.
there, well, because of my passion and because
Yeah.
that's how I get out
Yeah.
my frustrations and
But
feelings.
there was the sweet Wynonna on there. I hadn't thought about that.
I really loved making this record because it allowed me to sit back and just sing and be, not worry about notes. I have a tendency to be quite the perfectionist. They've thrown me out many a day going, it's good enough, why? And I just allowed myself to enjoy it. That's the challenge, is to come in here, do your work, do your very best, and that's good enough, and not get so microscopic and everything be perfect. Time and time again, Brent would say, we're not doing it again because of the feeling, the mood that was in it. It's like that movie Like Water for Chocolate. When she cooked, people felt her emotions when they ate her food. Same thing with me. I want them to feel and hear my spirit and my love for this music when they hear it, not just me singing the notes right and it being the greatest producer in the history of the world. You know what I mean? It was an experience for me.
What's the most fun song on there for you?
Ooh, fun would be the kids. Santa Claus is coming to town. Grace and Elijah, this is their. Gracie wanted to know, did this mean that she was in the union? And was $25 what they paid? That's how much she and Elijah made. The deepest part for me was Don Potter's song. It's the Messiah. I cried through the whole recording of it. And Ave Maria. I went to the next level. I always tell people, don't get stagnant in your job, in your marriage, in your relationships. And I took on something I thought I've bitten off more than I can chew. Because when I went to the guy's house, my vocal coach, Rob Browning, who's awesome here in Nashville, he sat me down, put me on this computer thing, and we learned how my voice works. And I had to learn like a whole new language and a whole new way of singing as well, which is weird. So it challenged me.
Get two shots so they can run off. And do it real quick. I'm trying to think where the track list is on here.
It's on the second.
It's on the what page? Second page?
Yeah, this isn't the very finished product.
Christmas song list. Yeah, I tell you which one I really like. Winter Wonderland. I don't know why I like that song. But
I don't
like that
either.
song.
I wasn't going to put it on here, and I thought, you know what? It's still one of my favorites, though.
It was one if you had to tie me up and say, okay, you heard the album. Ave Maria sticks out more than
I
anything.
don't know.
I can hear it.
And you
can't
know
you?
that it's.
Nat King Cole.
I think.
Not Crosby on that one.
no,
He's
it's
White
not.
Christmas.
It's not Nat King Cole.
No, White Christmas is Bing. Yeah.
I can hear it with a girl singer.
You know that's a Soldier's song. I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah,
that.
it's sad.
I gotta
Of
find.
course it
I
is.
gotta find out like what the reason was the guy wrote it. It had to
Yeah.
do with a soldier writing home saying, "I'll be home for Christmas." Ugh.
And then Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is another one that's is cool too.
You want the two shot of you talking?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
turn
okay.
away.
Yeah, back over.
You know what? The verses of
It's an interesting
Emmanuel.
choice of songs here because there's so many to pick. You know, obviously you can go with Rudolph for the fun stuff and
Yeah.
all that, but I don't know, it's just one of these albums, you know, obviously there's a lot of, this thing will be around for the end of time, longer than anything else you've ever done,
I
which
hope
is
so.
always weird. You know,
I know,
because
that
if you
is
do-
weird,
If you
isn't
knock
it?
it out with a Christmas song, it will be here long after you're gone. They'll be playing, say, oh yeah, that was that Wynonna girl, you know, from
Oh,
back
wow,
in,
that's interesting. I
in
hadn't really gotten
2006, because I'm still playing songs, and I have on the radio for songs that are from the 50s.
And we all go
the
back to the
40s.
same thing. Isn't it funny? It's like Baskin Robbins. You go for the same thing every time. It's just
Yeah,
what
because
you, it's
where you have
comfort.
your
It's
memory.
comfort. It's
where
tradition.
Your comfort zone is. It's comfort food.
It's
Christmas
tradition.
Music is comfort food.
That's exactly right. That's why I put the ones on there that I love, because
Those are
I thought,
comfort songs, and those are the ones that. I mean, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Everybody sung that somewhere.
That was- Can we get you to say hello to our editor at 6 o'clock? Her
Oh,
name's-
my God.
Her name's Ashley, and she
Ashley, she is
she's
the
your
biggest one.
fan.
She's in the.
Ashley, my sister friend, how you doing? You want to get together for a good time? Call me. No, actually call Rondell, 790-8300. You can buy me lunch sometime.
Now, she
I
gets
hear-
mad at me because I give her, because I'm pushing her sometimes. She gets aggravated. So she knows that I know Wynonna. So
Well, I love you too, and
One
I
of
need
those
all the
loyal
love I
fans in
can
the
get.
world,
Us girls
too.
got to stick together. Attitude, baby.
that's right.